good question. What do you do when there's been some ancestral wounds? How do you sort of address those? And okay, ancestral wounds going all the way back. So before that we was created. Okay, thank you. We know, thank you, they just sort of said, we know that, okay, thank you. In the creation of you, of bringing those parents together, your parents have had some backgrounds. Your parents have come from wherever they've come from, in the sense of they've had their own traumas, their own dilemmas, and with ancestral background wounds, it goes all the way back. It goes hundreds of years back in some families. It can go all the way back. And so what happens is, okay, thank you. As a therapist, what I had was a client who their relative had been in the caught up in they were Jewish and they'd been caught up in a concentration camp, and this lady that was presented to me, my client, she was in her 20s, was undergoing some issues, and she said as I worked as a conventional therapist, couldn't understand why it wasn't shifting, couldn't understand why it wasn't letting go of the issue. When I was sitting there, I then asked my team to come in, and I asked them, I said, like, what's going on? And they said it was because of she feels disconnected in a sense of what was going on for her. It was very similar to what her grandfather had gone through in the concentration camp. He had to go internally on himself. He had to disconnect himself from the situation. That's how he learned to survive his whole situation. And what happened was, because on a physical level, his body then, if you think of all the chemicals naturally is produced in your body through whatever the situation's going on for you, like from fear, trauma. This goes back to, I've worked with many families this has happened, that your body produces all the cortisones, and again that affects your organs, and how your body is physically affected, and how you get all these ailments that affect your body. So what happened was, so we know this to be actually medically and scientific proven. Like if you're producing a lot of chemicals and anxiety, I think how your body's in fear and starvation as well, and what happens with your body on a physical sense, this is carried through in your genes, and also carried through genetically and energetically through your body. So then when you go on to have some offspring, so with his grandchild, she's very much similar to him, and of course she couldn't understand why there were still things going on in her life now, why she couldn't work it out through therapy. Why is it that she was having problems and feel very detached from what's going on for her in her life? She's seen another therapist and worked through the traditional therapy side. It wasn't clearing it, and when she came to me, in 2 sessions we sorted the issue out straight away like that, because I worked with my spiritual team, and they came through and they addressed what was happening. I handed it back to her, what I was being shown, and because even just in the past life work I do, that I've done recently with people with past lives, when you then can work with the individual and sort of show what you are seeing for them, then the individual, they might say to you, well, how do I know this to be true? Well, you'll know this because how it feels for you. Is it connecting to you? Does it resonate with you? Does that make sense to you? You'll sit there with it, and you can gently send healing back also through the trauma ancestrally. So once you have started to work on that issue, whatever it is that happened, I know I worked with another lady recently, her mother, was it her mother? I think it was her mother or her grandmother had been raped, and it had carried through to her. She couldn't understand why she had some issues, but it wasn't just from a hearsay, as in the Chinese whisper, sort of the whisper through the family, this is what happened to them as an individual. It was more about this individual. I had this young lady in front of me. She couldn't be intimate with people because there was some sort of sense of fear, and she couldn't work out. She'd never had anything happen to her. So our bodies hold on to information, and then it goes through. So when she healed herself, when we were sitting there in a session where we was communicating, talking about this and healing it, when we was going through it and working through it, as I said, being a therapist myself, working through it on the psychological level and on the energetic and spiritual level, it went back, and already we had started making changes along the timeline and through her roots ancestrally. What this means also is that when she then goes on to have her own family and children, if she wants to have children, they won't carry that in them. There won't be that sense of fear that gets carried along. It's just like a soul fingerprint. So it's a fingerprint of your soul and the blueprint of what makes you who you are. So it can continue. But just by doing meditations is not going to clear it. You need to work with someone to unpick it, to unfold it, to have a look at it from all different dimensions, different angles of it. And by doing that, then you can then address what it is that's happening, and then you can send healing back. but you'll send healing back by, you know, we had a question earlier about whatever work that you do on yourself, you're automatically, energetically healing others around you, whether they see it as that way or not. They may not see that, but it's happening, it's helping them, it's changing their dynamics. And that goes back also and